Frankenstein throughout history. The first cinematic version in the silent era featured Boris Karloff as the monster, although the credits kept his identity a secret in order to heighten the intrigue of the picture. Jack Pierce is credited for the makeup, which includes a flat-top head and neck bolts. Karloff removed a dental bridge to achieve the sunken cheek slope.
Oh, it's alive! It's alive! It's alive! It's alive!
When this dead hand moves, the monster created by a man they called Mad is turned loose to strike terror into the hearts of men. To shock women into uncontrolled hysteria.
Elizabeth!
To prey upon the innocence of children. This is the story you've heard about, talked about. The spine-tingling, blood-chilling story that stuns your emotions. Frankenstein.
Don't touch that!
The hairstyle of the bride, played by Elsa Lanchester, is quite rightly what you remember most, but makeup artist Jack Pierce also modified the look of Frankenstein, both to acknowledge the scars he received in the first film and to shorten the time needed to apply the makeup to Boris Karloff.
She's gone! The monster! He's got her!
By the mid-1940s, the classic Universal monsters were teamed up in a variety of offshoots, such as this surprisingly good version of starring the comedy duo of Abbott and Costello. This was the third and final outing for Glenn Strange as the monster. His makeup was created by Bud Westmore and Jack Cavan, who used new, redesigned rubber sponge masks that were much easier and quicker to apply.
Count Dracula sleeps in this coffin, but rises every night at sunset. Chick is right. This is awful silly stuff.
Come on, take it all out.
Now! Look out, Chick! Come here!
Samantha,
Come here!
wait a minute.
The nation's top comics, Abbott and Costello. Petrified, but hilariously. Plus the dangerous and terrifying Wolfman, played by Lon Chaney. Plus that fiend out of a nightmare, the vampire Batman, Count Dracula, played by Bela Lugosi. Plus the most dreaded creature of them all, the Frankenstein monster, played by Glenn Strange. plus a couple of luscious but designing females in the spookiest laugh fest on record.
Universal held the copyright to the makeup designs for the Frankenstein, so when British company Hammer decided to make a new version, makeup artist Phil Leakey designed an entirely different look for the creature, played by Christopher Lee in his breakout role.
More than 100 years ago, in a mountain village in Switzerland, lived a man whose strange experiments with the dead have since become a legend. A legend that is still told with horror the world over. Insane, evil, call Frankenstein what you will. A demon had made a man-made monster, and now the monster was the master.
Oh, what are you going to do? For your sake and to protect Elizabeth, I've so far kept silent. But now I shall go to the authorities and have them destroy that creature. And see that you pay for these atrocities. No!
Boris Karloff made the leap from monster to mad scientist, playing the grandson of the original creator. This film supposes that Baron von Frankenstein needs an atomic reactor to kickstart his creature to life, and in a movie possibly intended to sidestep any possible legal repercussion, this monster looks more like the Mummy, all wrapped up in bandages until a final reveal shows a strange resemblance to a certain creature turned creator.
The one, the only, king of monsters, brings you the demon of the atomic age. Boris Karloff as Frankenstein, 1970, carrying on the hideous experiments of his infamous ancestor.
In this stone sarcophagus, deep in the bowels of the earth, he buried his creature, his creation.
Frankenstein, 1970. In the hell pit of his centuries-old castle, he perverts the terrifying wonders of nuclear science.
This gets you some eyes.
To unleash a horror beyond all imagination.
What kind of dealings do you have with the director of the morgue? Are you interested in corpses?
Even the cyclotron, concealed in his subterranean vaults, cannot complete his foul creation, for which he must have throbbing vital organs transplanted from living beings.
Two people are missing, and I want to know why they haven't come back.
Mr. Rowe, I imagine, would have us suspect foul play.
Boris Karloff as Frankenstein, 1970. Karloff.
An insanely silly variation on the concept, the Japanese-American co-production stars the Nazis sending the still-beating immortal heart of Frankenstein's monster to Hiroshima, where it arrives just in time for the dropping of the atomic bomb. 15 years later, a boy who stands 100 feet tall emerges with a very familiar-looking flat head.
In the ocean's unfathomable depths, a gigantic, man-like creature appears. face of the Earth comes a prehistoric mastodon of destruction. Never before has the screen known such heart-stopping terror. Starring Nick Adams.
Well, I feel he's very important from a scientific point of view. I'd have to cut off a leg or an arm.
Doctors, I won't let you conduct this test.
Frankenstein, with the strength of 1,000 men. And every man's need for affection that makes him a willing captive.
The chain hurts you.
The new scoop of the century. The horrifying touch of a severed hand with a life of its own. Terrifying force of a monster that dwarfs man's tallest structures.
Hammer's final Frankenstein film finds a good doctor played by Peter Cushing locked up in an insane asylum where he continues his experiments. The monster is assembled from various body parts, most notably an inmate who closely resembles an ape, which gives the creature a very different look. He's played by David Prowse, who later gained fame for his body work as Darth Vader in the original Star Wars trilogy.
Found guilty of one of the vilest of crimes.
I am a doctor, you know.
I have decided to extend my leniency to its limits by only sentencing you to be committed to the state asylum for the criminally insane for a period of 5 years.
I knew you couldn't give up your work completely. And you haven't.
If I succeeded this time, then every sacrifice will have been worthwhile.
There's a monster attack!
A wonderful collaboration between writer and star Gene Wilder and director Mel Brooks, this loving parody recreates the look of the classic Universal monster pictures without slavishly imitating them. Peter Boyle brought great empathy to the role of the monster and also demonstrated his previously unknown creature talents, such as dancing.
It's coming from the deep, dark recesses of the mind of Mel Brooks. I love him. Young Frankenstein.
Sky means business.
Young Frankenstein.
Oh dear, nothing left. What shall we throw in now?
starring Gene Wilder as Dr. Frankenstein.
That's Frankenstein.
But what about your grandfather's work, sir?
My grandfather's work was doo-doo!
Peter Boyle as the monster. Marty Feldman as Igor.
My grandfather used to work for your grandfather.
I'm sure we'll get along splendidly. Oh, sorry.
Cloris Leachman as Frau Blucher.
You played that music in the middle of the night?
Yes!
To get us into the laboratory.
Yes!
And it was you who left my grandfather's book out for me to find.
Yes!
So that I would...
Yes!
Then you and Victor were...
Say it. He was my boyfriend!
Cary Garr as Inga.
Would you like to have a roll in the hay? Roll, roll, roll in the hay.
Kenneth Mars as the inspector. And Madeline Kahn as Elizabeth.
Where am I? Calm down. What are you going to do to me? I'm not afraid of you. Listen, I have to be back by 11:30. I'm expecting a very important call.
If you're blue and you don't know where to go to, why don't you go where fashion sits?
Kill the monster! Storm their castle!
See Mel Brooks' Young Frankenstein.
Yes, I think we could all use a good laugh.
But don't see it alone. Don't miss Young Frankenstein, personally directed by Mel Blazing Saddles Brooks, in black and white. No offense.
Long before Thor, Jack Ryan Shadow Recruit, Kenneth Branagh directed himself as Victor Frankenstein, who creates a monster played by Robert De Niro that learns to read and write, much as in Mary Shelley's novel. But Victor rejects his creation, leading to an eventual series of tragic events that make up earned an Academy Award nomination. Tim Burton's feature-length version of his short film merges his love of classic monsters with the love of a boy for his dog. Young Victor Frankenstein mourns the death of his beloved canine companion Sparky until he manages to reanimate him. Victor's continuing experiments lead to disaster, although Sparky remains as beloved as ever. Why? He's not a monster at all.
He was a great dog. A great friend.
The best dog a kid could have.
When you lose someone you love, they never really leave you. They just move into a special place in your heart.
I don't want him in my heart. I want him here with me.
I know. If we could bring him back, we would.
sorry, boy.
Sparky! I can't believe it! Your dog is alive!
Sparky, shh. Easy, boy. I can fix that.
Based on a graphic novel, the latest movie version finds Dr. Frankenstein's creature named Adam still walking the earth 200 years after the big experiment that brought him to life. He looks more like a scarred superhero than a monster, which is good since he finds himself in the middle of a battle between gargoyles and demons.
Frankenstein. The rumors are true.
I was given life 200 years ago. I am like none other.
You have strength and speed and stamina, far beyond that of any human. You could use those gifts in a war that you are already a part of.
I go my own way.
You cannot save the human race. Nothing can stop their demise.
Come with me. There's an entire army of monsters like me. Tens of thousands of them. It could mean the end of all mankind. This ends tonight.
When I met you, I looked into your eyes and saw darkness.
I'm a monster.
You're only a monster if you behave like one. Frankenstein must be destroyed.
God will surely damn you. He already did.
Narrated by Alexander Maurice Trujillo.